Hello, good morning, and welcome into another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ. I'm your host, I'm Master Mateo with Clover Trading, right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel, where we post videos every single week, where we're live for our morning show right here, Monday through Friday, 8:45 a.m. Every day except Wednesday, where we start at 9:15 a.m. to do a little live trading. Kyle joins the show. And this would be a great time for all of you in here, and if anyone is new, or if you're a repeat customer and regularly here every single morning, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you've gone down, hit that thumbs up button, that little like indicator, if you will. You want to see that thing rise. We're very bullish on the like indicator. And yeah, it really helps the channel. We got Austin in chat, Ashish, Lauren, good morning, good morning. We're going to let some people filter in here. Huddy is on his way to his desk as well. I have been notified. Welcome into this second full week in March, 3/11/2024. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Hope you got some studying in. I finally was able to get some of my numbers and stats done from February after all the boot camp shenanigans. So video lessons will be incoming this week for you, four-leaf clovers, on goals for March and February 2024 wrap up. All right, let people filter in. Eric Incy in the house. We love Eric. He's putting firework emojis. Don't be afraid to get in the Clover Trading YouTube chat. Post your tickers if you want us to talk about them. What we do here is we like to go over, it's basically just a pre-market prep, go through the scanner, see what the top percent gainers are, go through a little bit of their fundamentals, their dilution, and then take a look at their daily charts, see if they have a history of failure, a history of spikes. What is their history? We just want to know their history. And then hopefully guide you in the right direction, and just kind of show you how we prepare in the morning when we're looking at these pre-market gappers. We'll just kind of sit here and wait shortly for Huddy. And then we'll get going here. Only 16 likes right now. Going to need to see that number up in the 20s, and then we'll get going with the first gapper of the day, which looks to be PIK. Up a whopping 250% on the morning. All right, let's talk about it. Kid Pick, looking like their float is less than 1,860,000 in internet retail. It's an online clothing subscription box for kids, offering mix and matches, expertly styled outfits that are curated based on each member's style preferences. It's a surprise box monthly or seasonally. I used to have something called Stitch Fix for a bit, and it was good for a bit, but then I was like, dude, I only wear like 3 items of clothing outside of sweats, so it was a little too much. 6 days ago, they announced a reverse split, 1 for 5. Earnings 4 months ago. Not a whole lot in the news department for this company. Not in a great cash position. Welcome, Huddy. Everyone welcome in Huddy. Snaps for Huddy.
Thank you.
Talking about Kid Pick.
Hey, guys, saw that was a reverse split, I think, on Friday. I think it opened up on Friday. And now it's up a lot higher, right?
Yep. They have less than $1 million float now. They have negative 4.2 months of cash. They have a 2023 shelf, which is there. 778,000 left on that. That's really all I see. Not a lot of news for them. Not a lot going on besides recent earnings and reverse split. This is the morning intraday. Let's take a look at the daily chart. So you said Friday was the day. Let me see.
I believe. I'm still looking at my charts.
March 7th, so Thursday. The open of March 7th. So right here, this big volume day where they spiked from 2 all the way up towards high 5s. And then kind of faded back to where it came from, consolidated for a few days, and then have ran a little bit after hours on Friday, now gapping up into the nines as high as the 1170s. Pretty fresh chart. Let me see how far back they go. Not as fresh as it looks. All right. So started in 2021, top left to bottom right type of fade, lower highs along the way. Couple of decent runs down here. Obviously, these aren't the real prices. This is pre-split or post-split prices, but big move here that topped out 38. Nice little run that topped out from 7 to 17. Couple wicks there since, and then the most recent big volume day is pretty much a gap and crap from the 8s all the way back down sub 6 to fade back off to where we are now with a couple of wicks on light volume since then. So historical history has gone on some big moves, has had some big spikes and multi-day runs, but more recently has been more of the gap and crap variety. Even on Thursday when the split was in business, had a big run but gave most of it back. So big wick there. So pretty unable to hold its gains is something that I would attach to this ticker, at least in the short term. Recent reverse splits are tricky. You want to, give your piece.
I mean, to me, it just feels like it already had its run. Does it mean that it can't run? No, but I don't believe it's just going to push back to 20, just based off how I think this stock is going to act. But of course, I can be wrong.
You can be wrong. You'll be wrong a lot if you decide to enjoy this endeavor of trading. But less than 1 million float post split, that's kind of a little scary trading on either side. I tend to stay away from sub 1 million floats to the long and short side just because, look at today's range from 2 to 18s. It must have been 4 a.m. to 8 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Excuse me. And now we're kind of right there in the middle, right around 10, but still up over 200% on the day. Is the biggest gapper, is going to have a lot of people watching it. No matter how many times I say to be careful, to pay attention to risk, to understand how hard it is to actually get filled where you want to get filled and get stopped where you want to get stopped. People are drawn to this stuff. It excites them. They think about, getting lucky one time and buying a stock at 10 and selling it at 200. But for every one of those, many, many, many more fail. And even if they don't, they can still shake you out in the meantime. I've learned that I don't really have an edge on these stocks, but it is up over 200%. Already proven that it kind of failed on decent volume on Thursday. So we'll kind of see what's in store for this one. I do think it's probably going to be the hot pick of the day for most people. Most people,
hot pick.
It'll be the hot kid pick.
Nice one.
Yeah, don't love it. So you do have any other thoughts on it?
No, just happy to see another 266% gapper. The theme kind of continues, and we'll see what it does.
We'll see what it does. Yeah, I mean, as always, I'm obviously rooting for these things to go as high as possible. Sorry, all you day one gapper shorters. But in terms of really letting these stocks come to our wheelhouse to make the most amount of money, that means they got to hold up on day one. That means they got to probably squeeze shorts. That means they probably have to set up for either higher moves or just continue this move towards 20, 30. And then we have first ride days, first screen days, all that good stuff that comes along with it. Just having gappers doesn't mean we have a lot of, life cycle of a penny stock type of plays. And in those instances, it's sad. But it's hard to ask for a stock that's already gone from 2 to 20 to do much more, which I'm sure is why you see much more of a bear thesis for a lot of these things. Next gapper on the list is Duo, up 120% today. Fanged Network Group out of China, 5.8 million float, leading property technology company in China, operating one of the largest online real estate marketplaces in the country. 2 days ago, they unveiled their 2024 strategic layout, aims to enter the real estate stock asset services sector. They also received notice 2 months ago about the minimum bid. I'm guessing that was to be over $1. At least $1 for a minimum of 10 consecutive business days. So either this is the pump to do that, Or they're planning a reverse split. Cash needs high. They have 1.4 months of cash left. Overall risk is medium. They have warrants at $10.50. September shelf with 0 on it. So cash need is high. They need to keep that price over $1. Let's see what it looks like. So yeah, I've been kind of hanging out with a high of 76 cents up until this morning, where we've gapped from 60 cents to as high as the 175 area. Top left to bottom right, you'll notice that if you're new with a lot of these small cap charts, they're generally not in the most healthy uptrend like you would expect for most stocks trading on the stock market. If you go back far enough, you can't even see the last few years. It's so little. But most recently, something had to have happened back in July of 2023, where we got pretty healthy decrease in price from 13 down to 3 over the course of 3 days. See if I can find anything on that. If you have anything on the daily chart or in the filings you see.
This is just one of those like toxic long-term daily charts, habitual reverse splits to get themselves over $1, and then dilution. I don't really need to look into it to know that that's what they do.
That's
Now
who they
I do need
are.
to look in. Yeah, that's who they are. It's their identity. But if I wanted to see if anything was kind of active and nearby these prices, I would look into it. This dollar price region has been kind of wonky these past 2 weeks, but a little uneasy about it. But also I don't think this is, just from the daily chart, a good company. I haven't looked into it.
We just looked into it.
No, I mean the fundamentals. I mean, is there anything on dilution tracker?
Just warrants at 10.50.
Those are far away.
Yeah, but they do need cash. Huddy says it's wonky. Most of its run was here in late pre-market. Let's see if there was anything Friday. So Friday after hours, something that, I'm not the most day one type of guy. I learned a long time ago that this is not where my edge lies in the stock market. What I have learned is if you see a gapper this morning with not a lot of news going on, check Friday or check the day before. See if it's an after hours runner first. That gives you a lot more levels to kind of that people are going to be playing off of support and resistance wise. Had a high of after hours action through 150 into the 170s here in the last 10 to 15 minutes. And now we're fading back into support. So up just short of 100% right now. This is kind of your secondary runner. So this is kind of, not odd for us to have 2 top percent gainers. One of them is micro float, crazy runner, up hundreds of percents, doing massive moves in all sorts of directions. Then have one that is a little bit bigger, floats around 6 million, a little bit thicker. You can tell by the action that took a lot of volume and it kind of went penny by penny up to these areas versus just kind of swiping 50 cents a dollar a share in a matter of minutes. And quite the clean fade here right now. Not a lot of interest here for me. Again, from what Huddy said, downtrending chart riddled with, what appears to be anytime they get any volume, something bad happens. No real catalyst today or 2 days ago. I mean, they're unveiling their strategic layout, but that seems more like buzzwords here in the small cap industry. And they need to keep their price over $1. So those are all just things I kind of keep in the back of my mind if this is something that's going to hold up. Not too much here that's really relevant to like what the price has to do this morning. So in that case, it's best to go off statistics, back test these things, look at what the percentages are for gappers in certain price ranges, with certain floats, whatever it has to be. Because you've seen, if you've been around here in the small cap space for the most of 2024, gappers have played a big role in that in terms of how they move, which ones go. I've seen many small float stocks go on crazy runs. Some have piqued interest to the point where they're moving quite a bit late day. Others have huge moves in the mornings and give it all back by the end of the day. So stay safe with these until you have actual statistics on them. But for me, DUO, not too much interest there. Really fading hard now all the way back towards pre-market lows. Harsh rejection off those 170s. So those are your two main plays out of the day. PIK up 275%. and DUO up 86%, 80% on the day right now. The next highest one, we got a couple in the 50s, SCX, which appears to be much more of a not small cap stock. It does say it has a 6 million float. What do you know about this? The New York Stock Exchange ticker. Is that immediate write-off for you, Huddy?
No, it's not a write-off for me. It's just more the price level is an immediate write-off more than anything.
Yeah.
It's not coming up on my scanner.
Yeah, I think mine's set to $20.
Mine's maybe set to 50. I don't know, but it's not on mine.
No, maybe
SCYF.
it's let's read the news. It's probably acquisition or something. Merger. Merger. Which means the price is probably going to stay exactly where it is, and since it has gotten to $15.75, so that's 5 seconds to due diligence. Very quickly, something we're not going to be interested in. This isn't going to be a volatile ticker today. It's one of those things that's been predetermined through a merger, and the price is probably just going to move to that area. And the other one, TCBP.
Was getting up there at one point when I saw it this morning. That's up there.
It's up there. We got a biotech.
Oh, scary biotech.
2.42 million float. They're focused on the development, discovery, and commercialization of gamma delta T cell therapies for the treatment of cancer and viral infections. I feel like I've read that before. 9 days ago, their CEO appeared on the nationally syndicated The Big Biz Show. Huddy, do you know anything about The Big Biz Show?
Never heard of it.
But it's nationally syndicated.
Should we get on it?
I'm just wondering. Okay. They are overall high risk. 1.4 months of cash left. They have a $10 million priced offering with final pricing at $1.60. Does that pique your interest?
I have to look at it. Sorry, I was looking at its daily history, and what piques my interest is it's probably failed to hold green like more than about 75% of the times that it gaps up. Nothing I was looking at. What were you reading? The warrants?
Yeah.
You say what was the price?
S1 offering. I don't necessarily know if that's warrants. Final pricing at $1.60. Exercise price $175 actually.
There are definitely warrants from like December 2023.
No, December 2023. There we are. Okay, at $2.
And if I'm looking at the daily chart, like have we been over $2 with volume since that December 2023? Yeah, kind of, but not really. So maybe an opportunity for them to get executed, given the news or the event that's happening, which I'm not sure of.
Yeah, you have this. I just went further out. Big gap up day, or decent gap up day. One to the 170s area back on 2.9. That was kind of just a doji day. Didn't really do much. To the upside, didn't do much. To the downside, kind of closed mid-range. What was that day? 2.9. See if there's any exciting news. I don't see any. They were on the Big Biz Show again, though. So we saw, well, that worked out last time. So you have this line, and so versus the most recent gappers we've talked about, where it's just super top left to bottom right, which this is as well. But with recent resistance, and we're gapping over it, that I think draws a lot more longs into it versus feeling like it's already out of range. It's already gone too far. I think a lot of people look at this and go, okay, area is 175. If we're holding 175 all morning into the afternoon, then that area of resistance is now becoming support and acting as support, and maybe the move can go higher. It's not the biggest float in the world. Let's see how it's moving on the pre-market. Kind of a morning spike, kind of holding trend, holding this 140 to 150 area, and just kind of holding towards the higher end of that range right now. But yeah, I think 175 is kind of the line in the sand. Huddy said doesn't normally hold its spikes when it does gap up on volume. So that's a behavioral, something that I'd like to be aware of, just in case it's conforming to that or it is deviating from that. And usually those questions only get answered 11, 12, 1 o'clock into the afternoon. It's hard to predict that in the moment, especially with these gappers. If you start to actually watch the first 10 to 20 minutes, even up to the first hour of action, they're kind of wonky. They can look dead in the water, then be testing the highs. They can look like they are climbing to the heights of the Empire State Building and then be testing the lows. That first little while in these is usually very, for most smaller cap gappers, going to be quite volatile until the end is kind of proven correct towards the end of the day, where they either become all-day faders or they're holding up, and maybe 175 is holding up into the close, and maybe a multi-day move is starting. That kind of your thoughts, Jim? You don't have a lot of thoughts?
I don't have good thoughts for TCBP.
No, it's just kind of one of those. I think you're going to have more people interested in long here just because it's not up on the day as much, and you have this area of resistance at 175 that they can use to play off of. Most people like to have more information to play off of versus, you know, what was the first one we had today? Pick, where you're just dealing with basically a fresh chart with reverse split, a brand new low float, very volatile action, where it's enticing to most people. I think a lot of people do understand that they don't have an edge on it, which is where it becomes dangerous. At least on something like TCBP, I think you're going to have a lot better time cutting your loss, getting filled where you want to fill. But in terms of actually making good money consistently over time on these, it's up to you which one that you want to play, or you can decide not to play any of them. All right, let's take a look, see if there's any last second. No camera for you today?
No. I was in a rush to get ready for this.
That is the last decent sized gap of the day. The next one isn't down until 20%. Let's see if any of you have questions. Lauren says, Dom, your video on Holo is very influential in a good way, and I want to thank you for that. That's awesome. Love to hear it. For all you don't know, we do post long form videos every single week, as well as all this stuff we do live every morning from Monday through Friday. We try to get you guys some bigger lessons, either on a big trade we had, a trade recap, or just lessons for beginners that we think will resonate with you and hopefully make you a better trader. Parker asking about comparing the market. It's probably a better question for the Clover room. Lauren says, hit that like button. Yeah, we got over 100 of you watching. Really appreciate if you guys get that number up towards 50. Cost you nothing. Just ask that you go down, hit that thumbs up button. We are bullish on the like indicator this morning, and probably will be all week. So just want to let you guys know beforehand, if you just go ahead and do it, I won't bother you about it. Did we already talk about SGD? Someone says not a lot of interest here. Again, really trying to look at top percent gainers on the day. That usually for most people, you know, because most mornings it's not uncommon to have 10, 15, 20 stocks that are up 10 to 50% on the day. Narrowing down that list is not a task that I would like to handle. So you're usually going to get much more unpredictable, you know, data, but also probably unpredictable movements out of those lower percent up on the day gaps, especially when they are like this one, which is just looks like we gap and crapped on Friday, and now we're just kind of bouncing back into levels. That's not uncommon to see, and even if it is on a PR, it appears to be on the backside of this move. And could it set up into something down the line? Potentially. But right out of the gate this morning, my job is to narrow down my focus to as few amount of tickers as possible where I believe I truly have an edge, and not seeing one here for me. Doesn't mean there's not one there for you. Just means there's not one there for me. With gappers being hot last week, would you take it easy to see what the market is doing in the morning to indicate what this week may bring? I know for myself, Huddy might approach it a lot differently. I kind of go into every week, unless the previous week was a very special style, like back a few weeks ago or a month ago probably, when Holo ran towards the end of the week, and then we had like a consistent flow of low float gappers on no news that related to the China scam of the past. That is something I felt would continue into the next week, where last week wasn't like insane. We did have some good gappers. It's crazy to say that again, that's the type of market we're in with day ones, where it's not uncommon to see a 200, 300% gapper. But that is where we are right now. But I tend to approach every week as a fresh week, take a look at what the overall market's doing. If we go into this week and it's Monday, we're doing Good Morning NASDAQ, and there's only 150% gapper, that I think does start to set the tone for the week, and maybe it makes me start to think the end of the week will have more big gappers, whatever it is. But when you say take it easy, I don't really trade day ones all too much. So if there are plays to be had with big daily charts that I'm already interested in, I don't quite care what's going on with day one gappers. I do think they bring a lot of momentum to small cap markets, but it doesn't usually change what I'm looking at, what I'm going to do. If you are someone that's interested in day one gappers, going into every week and just trying to get kind of a feel for the market, I'm sure Huddy. Day one's all. Well, I can hear myself. I'm sure Huddy, who trades a lot of day one gappers, would maybe think about it differently. He probably would tell you that there is a big change from week to week in the price action, in the way these things trade out, how well they follow statistics. And that is something that probably is important to note at the beginning of the week, just to kind of see what the trend, what the flow is going to look like from Monday through Friday. Huddy, are you here?
I'm here.
When I stop talking, I need you to start talking. I gotta drink my coffee.
Yeah, last week was kind of horrible for day one gap up shorts. A lot of them spiked very big. What they did is they spiked very big in the morning, and then a lot of them like faded off into the close. So if you were kind of if you were in too early, you got pile drived into the morning rush, and then you probably gave up before the fade ensued in the afternoon. So that's one thing that we definitely noticed from last week. Do I know if it's going to continue? No. I would just hope that whoever is trading them has like a consistent approach. And, 1 week I don't think is enough to violently change what's been working, but it is good to identify, right? And maybe change up the process a bit so that you don't, get caught in the same wave that keeps, barreling you. At least that's kind of the work that I did this weekend in order to prepare for this week. And yeah, I'm going to go about it as business as usual.
Try not to think too much. Thinking too much, for me and Huddy, we like to play the role of the ignorant trader. We try not to take on any tasks that are too tall for our britches, and we know where we fit in the market and where we get in. And the more we think about it and try to predict what's going to happen, the more we're left with regrets. And we just try to follow along, react as we've been taught to over many, many years of trading. And that generally gives us the best results. Someone said RVSN, moving on to PR2.
They've been trying to get that one up so hard lately, I feel like.
Rail Vision. Yeah, you guys, it's pretty easy for me. I'm trying to think about how I want to say it. But just because you see something moving, just because you see it has a PR, like, to me, daily chart truly trumps everything, especially when this isn't like a fresh chart. Like, this was going on a big run as recently as February, right? And we're only in March now, which means there's a built-in set of range and resistance that's going to make this very difficult to run. Not only that, we have a day from Wednesday of last week where the stock was unable to really spike into that resistance, which now means there's even potentially more bag holders from recent areas. These are the type of charts to me that are just dead until proven otherwise. I don't care what the PR says. I don't care if it spikes from 3 to 4. The big move here is too tricky. Like, from a long bias perspective, like, we have to be $15 plus before I'm even thinking about this thing long, because I'm a big picture daily chart setup kind of guy, and I'm not the guy who wants to predict if this can bounce back towards 6. And it's not even really that impressive of a gapper right now, up 30% on the day. Again, not really hitting a lot of those thresholds for a lot of people. But yeah, it's just really not all that interesting for me. Again, I don't know your edge, what you've tracked in the market, how you trade. But for me, these are really easy. My goal is to narrow my focus. Like, again, I'm not the smartest trader, so I don't need 14 stocks to watch out of the gate every morning, or else I'm going to miss everything. So by dwindling it down to the stuff with what meets the most criteria, like, I wouldn't even know what criteria this fits. It doesn't fit anything in terms of a gap and crept short. If I had day one long patterns, it definitely wouldn't fit that either. I guess you could call it a mini multi-day breakout if it broke over 479, but I don't really want to be buying breakouts with overhead resistance at every price range up to 20. So for those reasons, it's really easy to ignore. I think the better you get at realizing which stocks don't fit your criteria and which ones you shouldn't be watching, you become a lot better of a trader because you become focused. It's a lot easier to be consistent with your rules and your approach when you only have 2 stocks to watch every morning, because that's what you've planned and are prepared for. When you show up every morning and you just add this gap or this gap or this gap or this gap, or I don't really care what your stats say, you're going to fumble trying to get entries, try to stick to the right plan. One morning is going to wipe you out mentally, and it just doesn't work. And maybe there are traders out there that do that, but they've probably been doing it long enough where they can handle 5, 6, 7 trades at once. Are you that person? I don't know. And do you actually have an edge on these trades? I don't know. For me, I look at something like RVSN, and I move on to the next stock within 3 seconds. You agree, Huddy?
Yeah.
Huddy agrees. Huddy very talkative this morning. I'm going to have to shut down the show because we don't have all morning for Huddy to keep talking. I want to thank you all for being here. If you want to check us out over at clovertrading.io, you can get 7 days for $7. Get yourself access to a week's worth of content, video lessons, live webinars, the room, watch list, all that good stuff. Trying to make you become the best trader you possibly can be for yourself and the most self-sufficient trader possible. We're here every single morning, Monday through Friday. We'll be live tomorrow morning, 8:45 a.m. So we'd be happy to have you here tomorrow morning. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we will see you then. Let's head on over to the room and have a great, great morning.